We devote our segment to an individual. Alyssa Baumann is a Gator Gymnastics sophomore who was among the victims of sexual abuse at the hands of disgraced former Team USA Dr. Larry Nassar. Tonight, Baumann sits down with TV 20 and shares her experience. Alyssa, it's been about a month since you tweeted your personal account of being sexually abused by Dr. Larry Nassar. Why did you decide to go public?
I did wait a long time before I decided to go public. At the time where I realized that it had actually occurred and happened to me, I wasn't ready to share with the whole world yet. I took my time really sharing with my family and then my close friends, and then I finally felt like I was at a point where I was ready to share with the world what happened.
What has the reaction been?
I've received a lot of support, and it's been really reassuring to know that so many people are there for me and I'm not alone in this whole process.
Now, you're about 15 when you started seeing Nassar for muscle soreness and general gymnastics wear and tear. These abusers, they have a way of getting you to like them. What were some manipulative things that he did?
He really just got all of us to trust him and would do things like bring us food or, just say things to earn our trust so that we thought he was really there for us, when in reality he was manipulating us and tricking all of us into believing that he wanted the best for us. But
was there a point where his actions went from being, I'm not comfortable with this, to being, this is definitely not acceptable? And was there a way in which he was touching you that was inappropriate from the get-go, or did it have a way of gradually becoming worse?
I think at first it kind of surprised me, but the whole entire time I didn't know that it was for the wrong reasons. I always thought that he was doing it because he wanted to help me. At one point I knew it made me uncomfortable. I didn't know why, but I told him, I asked him to stop, and he did for a while, but then he continued doing it. And then in 2015, I was talking about it with some teammates, and a coach overheard me, and that's when he was let go, and then no one told me until 2 years later.
Told you about the reason for
Correct.
his dismissal?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, and did you share other stories with other gymnasts, other accounts of what would happen behind closed doors?
So we would talk about it here and there, not because we knew what was going on, just because we knew it made us uncomfortable, and we all thought that he was the best doctor. That's what we were told. We were told that he was the best in the nation, and we had to see him every day for treatment because he would help us.
Was there a particular low point that you can recall?
Definitely at 2014 World Championships in China. It occurred often, and we were put in a hotel room for treatment, and lots of times we would be left alone in that room with him, and that's when it would happen a lot.
The concept of being left alone is something that people hearing this are going to have maybe an issue with. Mm-hmm. Why do you think you were alone with him? I think in certain medical situations there may be an assistant on hand as well. What happened there?
So there was an assistant with him, another trainer, but sometimes she would be in the room and just turn a blind eye to it, or she would leave the room and just say she was going to bed or she was going to do something else. And that's why we'd be left alone.
What was it like for you to watch, the coverage maybe of the Nassar situation and see gymnast after gymnast after gymnast? It's in the hundreds now, and to see that from a distance.
Yeah, that was definitely very hard. I was in the middle of season actually when the trial was going on, and it was devastating. I think it's almost harder knowing that it happened to all my teammates than just myself, because we were so close and I care about them so much. They were like my sisters. We went through everything together, so that's definitely been one of the hardest parts.
And that is part one of our interview. We have part two coming up later tonight at 11, where Alyssa talks about the future of gymnastics. USA Gymnastics now certainly decertified as a result of this Larry Nassar scandal, and so she talks about what should happen down the road.
It takes a lot of courage to open up.
She's very well composed. We only met her for the first time a few minutes before we started shooting this, where there was no prep or anything. So she was very well composed.
Okay.
And again, that's tonight at 11?
Tonight at 11, more.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Back in a moment.
Alyssa Baumann wasn't Larry Nassar's only victim. The former USA Gymnastics team doctor engaged in serial sexual abuse for years because he could. In part one of our sit-down interview that aired at 6 o'clock tonight, you heard Baumann discuss her personal experience with Nassar. Now in part two, the 20-year-old Florida sophomore gives her take on the future of her sport. How could this go on for so many years? I mean, looking back now, Nassar had a way of earning people's trust, and the people higher up along the lines went along with it. What do you think of that now that you are aware of how long this went on and to so many people?
That is definitely a question I ask myself often. You know, how did no one realize? How did I not realize and make it stop earlier and prevent it from happening to so many of my close friends? And I think it helps just knowing that I wasn't the only one and that there were so many other people that were manipulated by him, and he really just earned our trust. And the culture surrounding elite gymnastics and the camps that we went to, I think, just allowed it to happen and continue.
Is there a change of culture that's necessary here? Because we hear, even before the Nassar story broke, we hear about the Karolyi Ranch, and it's very tough and demanding, and that has now been shut down. The stories that are somewhat public about a culture of fear in gymnastics, why is that? And what needs to change about that?
So in elite gymnastics, the culture was just very demanding, and we were put in high pressure situations. The thing I think needs to change is it needs to be more about the athlete. Before, it was about the medals and the money, and they didn't really care about us as individuals. And I hope that going forward, people realize that we're people, we're not machines, and just really care for us as individuals.
Going forward, is there any particular suggestion you have for the next wave of leadership for U.S. Gymnastics? I say that because USA Gymnastics has been decertified. They will not be running the show anymore.
Right.
Any particular suggestions you have?
I just really hope that the entire sport of gymnastics can move forward in a positive direction. I hope that younger girls and boys can feel assured that they will be safe in their sport. I want to be able, you know, when I get older, to put my kids in gymnastics and not have a fear that something like this will ever happen to them. So I hope that people are held accountable. There's people checking in to make sure that everything's okay. And just really making sure that each person that is hired is the perfect fit.
Do you get some sort of release from this situation?
Yeah, I feel like a little bit of a weight's been lifted off my shoulders, knowing that I'm not alone and I have other people to support me, and I can openly talk about this now, and it doesn't have to be some type of secret, and there's people that will help me through it.
Alyssa, we thank you very much for talking with us today. I'm sure future gymnasts agree as well.
Thank you so much.